Mario Kart has a wonderful balance in design. Its sophistication is exposed, as is the austerity of the game. You can throw any Mario Kart game at anyone, and they'll understand it with ease, making its appeal utterly universal. That charm is even further orchestrated in Mario Kart 7. The controls of Mario Kart 7 feel like a huge jump from Mario Kart DS. The circle pad, introduced in the 3DS, not only optimizes the controls, but makes the vehicles more manageable. I mean, it works, but carbo tunnel isn't something I'd like to have, so this is much better. Everything about it feels ergonomic, from the placement of the drift buttons to the left bumper making it easier to use power-ups on the fly. It makes the game feel realistic, even though that's far from the case. This elusiveness is wonderful, if unnecessary, and makes the controls feel skeuomorphic, which is a term I had to look up in the dictionary. My main problem with Mario Kart's gameplay is that it's slightly repetitive. Even the variability, which we'll mention later, seems tied to a novelty that wears off systematically as you play more races. In terms of actual gameplay, it's still the same basic formula that Nintendo has been nigh perfecting since the first installment on the Super Nintendo. You can drift, use items to slow your opponents down, and you can send this blue form of torture that's sure to end any friendships you created over the years. Yep, those are the sounds of some happy people, wouldn't you agree? Fuck you! The complex mechanics of this game add so much dimension to it, rather than being just generic racing game, but it's Mario. To start, let's talk about drifting. It's a simple concept at face value. Hold down the right trigger and move the circle pad in the direction to start drifting. Drifting can be very complex, however. You can use drifting to get in front of someone on a turn, or do a hard drift on a turn to get the most from the boost you receive from drifting. On tracks with hard turns, like the ones from Super Mario Kart, this strategy is very useful. And even then, it works on a lot of the other maps available in Mario Kart 7, with the somewhat small turns that the early maps provide. Choosing your character isn't just a matter of personal preference. They also matter in terms of how fast you are. Mario Kart characters are separated by 5 weight classes: Feather, Light, Medium, Cruiser, and Heavy. If you want to play with a character that can make sure you don't go careening at supersonic speeds, use a Cruiser or Heavy. If you want to get ahead as soon as possible, use a Feather or Light character. If you want a mix of either, use a Medium. The intricacy and choices that this game provides for your tactical mindset is unprecedented, and it adds a little layer of strategy to the whole mix of Mario Kart. As you gain coins from races, it's clear you'll get vehicle bodies, wheels, and gliders, all of which influence your stats. I mean, look at this gigantic chart from MarioWiki.com. Each and every car body, tire, and glider adds points to your overall stats. Those stats being speed, acceleration, weight, handling, off-road, mini-turbo, stability, and drift. We'll be using the basic body, wheels, and glider as examples. The speed stat mostly matters in how fast you go on a certain plane. For example, the standard wheel has a speed level of 4 in land and water, but a speed level of 0 in the air. The body has a speed level of 6 on land, a level of 4 in water, and a level of 2 in the air. And the standard glider has a speed level of 0 in land and water, and an air level of 12. Keeping all of those in mind, you can mix and match the bodies, gliders, and tires to create one of the greatest cars ever. There's a lot more about this, but I'm getting tired of writing this part, so I'm just going. The items in this game are just the same as they've ever been since Mario Kart 64, but there are underlying tactics. Say someone behind you has a red shell. You can block that by getting in front of a banana, or you can just hold a banana to make sure that the red shell hits that instead of you. This strategy also applies to green shells. There's a balance it produces. A translucent strategy game jam-packed with racing fun. Another thing about item usage is variability. If you're in second, it's unlikely you'll get a blue shell. The probability of someone in 8th place getting a blue shell is incredibly larger. This is to make Mario Kart less unfair, So if someone in first place gets a blue shell, or even worse, a bullet bill, they can't just zoom to the very end and make sure that no one can catch up with them. Notwithstanding the tactics behind item usage, the item variability really cancels it out. It partially turns Mario Kart to less of a skill challenge and more of an underdog story. In the end, however, even that seems more like a manipulative design choice to further balance the game. The mechanics are meticulous crafts, the utmost balance integrated into it, strategy prevalent throughout them, and the intelligence prevalent with every use of the game's mechanics. We all know Nintendo as a playful and innovative corporation, and the tracks really consolidate that theme. A colorful Mario circuit, wide tracks made for drifting machines, a few reinvented retro tracks, and much more. I'm talking about most, if not all, of the tracks in the game. So here we go! Toad Circuit, as an introductory track, is just amazing. The track design is very simplistic and it entices new players to actually enjoy the game. It also shows off the drifting mechanic by having very wide turns. This allows even the starter parts to make fantabulous drifts. Plus, a small amount of shortcuts ease new people in. This partially allows more focus on the look of the track. It's populated with colorful cutouts of Toad, mushroom pillars and arches, and miscellaneous vegetation. Even the grass has details. Detailed as a 3DS Connect. Anyhow, a vivid world lies in Toad Circuit. Daisy Hills has a Himalayan flair to it. Plus, it also has that festival feel that Toad Circuit has. The huge mountains in the distance, the house designs, to the animals around the track. Plus, the windmills at the end allow this flare to burn even brighter. The music is perfect for this track as it complements the world design perfectly. It feels like a small band is just playing music in the town. I really like this as it gives the track a lot of personality, which not that many tracks have a lot of. The shortcuts are turned up much more than Toad Circuit. There's one shortcut right around the big jump here, and another shortcut by gliding onto the roofs nearby. With all of this combined, Daisy Hills is a gleeful addition to Mario Kart 7 and a great track overall. Woohoo Loop is one of the 3 Wii Sports Resort style tracks in the game, and it's also one of the few tracks that don't have laps. That makes the level feel monumental, and you only see a minuscule part of Woohoo Island. There are seldom alterations to the design, which wears out the character Woohoo Island as. This makes for, in my opinion, a lackadaisical map. However, it uses that to its advantage, using the cliffs, the mountains, etc. to make for a decent racing experience. Music Park is bursting with personality, and that's an understatement. As you begin, you're greeted with brass instrument, exquisite music, and as you get further, you see music illustrated in many microscopic ways, from bouncing musical notes, to tambourines as bouncing platforms, barriers that are musical staffs, to dancing enemies and piano keys. You'll never see anything more zestful and compelling. It truly orchestrates the sound of music. Rock Mountain was boring to me. Because of the minimal design and the low amount of addition of new interesting stuff in comparison to other maps in the Flower Cup, it just doesn't work. If they added something interesting, like say more shortcuts, maybe add more well-hidden shortcuts like the one in Woohoo Loop, and make the forest area more alluring, it would stand out more. But because of all of that, Rock Mountain is one lackluster course in comparison to everything else in the Flower Cup. It lacks the character that it should have, and I am very disappointed with the level. The design of Neo Bowser's City is very creative, with the dazzling lights all around, the futuristic aesthetic of the city itself, the Bowser symbols and pictures put all around, plus you can skip the finish line through this fanner by the end of the track. Overall, Neo Bowser City is one of the best original tracks in the entirety of Mario Kart 7, and it truly illustrates the idea of a city based around Bowser. And I truly believe it has had the exact same impact as, say, Waluigi Pinball and other amazing Mario Kart tracks. The second course in the game related to Wii Sports Resort, Maka Woohoo, kinda feels like Woohoo Loop version 2, and if anything, it's the better of the Woohoo courses. The atmosphere of the setting sun over the horizon gives it a relaxing vibe, and the floating platforms near the end give off the idea that this is all something that was made just for your race. It is damn near perfection, and it's one of my favorite courses in Mario Kart 7. Piranha Plant Slide isn't really something that let's go back to all the time. The design of the track is cool, and it reminisces about the old underground levels from older Mario games. The problem I have with Piranha Plant Slide is that there just isn't anything interesting about the level to look at. Most of it is just a line, with 90-degree turns on the occasion, so it feels dull, with nothing compelling or engaging about the track to be seen in the slightest. Of course, this brings up the question of how do we fix it? Alright, so we could add 2D cutouts of Mario just running around on the walls, and we could probably put war pipes, the original ones. Make them shortcuts. Make them interesting shortcuts that lead to different parts of the track that you then have to navigate out of. But unfortunately, because it doesn't really take the time to really flesh out shortcuts, or even then make the place look interesting, Piranha Plant Slide doesn't feel like a nice track to go through. DK Jungle is kind of uninteresting to me. The track design is good because it is an oval shape. It's more of a curved and twisted circle, giving off this kind of wild vibe, which fits in with the theme of the jungle. Going through the actual track, however, makes me think that they didn't put enough stuff in here to make the experience of driving through enjoyable. Maybe if the temple with the big golden banana had more to look at. Maybe have a giant pile of bananas filling up the temple, throwing back to Donkey Kong's banana sash from Donkey Kong Country. But as it stands, DK Jungle is just an okay course, with nothing really shouting that this is DK, other than the DK barrels and some of the hazards here. Rainbow Road in this game is the best it's ever been in the Mario Kart franchise. The dazzling lights all over the place shining brightly, the music is so amazing, enveloping the idea of a giant galaxy full of many different planets and stars in riveting ways, and the actual track design is super amazing. You'll be drifting on the planet's hardened ring, gliding through stars to get a boost and leaving a small trail behind, driving throughout the moon with gigantic chain chomps rolling around. It is perfect. This is the peak of courses made for Mario Kart 7. Rosalina's Ice World is kinda like Rosalina herself. Boring. I don't enjoy playing for Rosalina's Ice World. It feels so empty and devoid of anything that might be interesting. It just feels like the setting of Frozen 3 with nothing else inside. And even then, like DK Jungle, there's nothing in the track that really screams Rosalina. There's no Lumas, which if they were placed around the ice, maybe playing on it, fishing, talking, it would probably make the course more full of stuff to look at, and even make it more Rosalina themed. actually really like Bowser's Castle. For how much I dislike the Special Cup, obviously minusing the Rainbow Road, Bowser's Castle is pretty good. The music sets the scene perfectly as you go into the mouth of this giant castle with lava flowing basically everywhere and a giant ramp as you exit the castle with flying finish lines right in your face. This place is filled with things that you would think of when you hear the name Bowser, plus the shortcut shaves down 5 seconds of the total race, and the track design is very curvy and unusual. Bowser's Castle is the second best track in the Special Cup. I'm surprised the remaster of the GBA course in Mario Kart 7 is the only one of the GBA courses in the normal courses. As a track in Mario Kart 7, it feels underdeveloped, and of course, it feels devoid of interesting stuff, and it suffers as a Mario Kart 7 track. But I've got to cut it some slack, as this is a Game Boy Advance course. Keeping this in mind, the course is pretty average, not that much in it. Mushroom Gorge is a great course for people who have gotten good at Mario Kart. It challenges those who know what they're doing, and for those who don't, it's a course that looks somewhat interesting. The shortcut here incentivizes mastery of the bouncy mushrooms to get ahead of the competition. But it's just a meh course in terms of being fun. I mean, the idea is cool, but the execution is just below average. The shortcuts feel unrewarding, and the course design is just basic, which isn't really tying into the whole thesis of the course. It's great for those who have basically mastered the course. But for all of those who haven't mastered Mario Kart, it's basically on the same level as Toe Circuit, and that could be a problem. As a course for everyone though, it's okay. So, throughout most of the summary of the Shell Cup, I've been talking about a lack of stuff in each track. Luigi's Mansion is almost devoid of that problem. If anything, it tries to put in interesting stuff in every part of the course. It has a few references to the actual game, which is pretty sad. I would have probably added the Poltergeist 3000 hanging out somewhere, or even have Egad sucking up ghosts, or even has to have his lab in front of the mansion, like the actual game. But as for the actual course design, it's actually good for what it tries to do. All in all, Luigi's Mansion is a great track, and it stands out as the best track in the Shell Cup. Koopa Beach is starting the Banana Cup on the wrong foot. Not only is the track itself really bland, but there isn't that much stuff in the track itself. To fix this, I think we should take advantage of the dimension of the ocean and the emptiness around it. Add assorted islands that create a network of shortcuts with rock formations, and put crates full of items on those islands, put fish around, things commonly associated with the Pacific setting this map imitates. Moreover, these rock formations need more basic details, more like erosion and texture, though this would ditch the unadulterated feel of the level. This barrenness, in some ways, creates a great feel, but with the lack of sound effects in every track in this game, and the technical restraints that don't allow the aforementioned texture, shaders, and effects, ultimately, the atmosphere that Koopa Beach needs isn't there. Waluigi Pinball is a mixed bag, but the track's theme is phenomenal, making the race be inside the pinball table. The first half is very atmospheric as you constantly see the bright signs and shining lights of the pinball machine. The second half is slow and uses a few gimmicks, but not ones I think really make you gain sufficient momentum. Waluigi Pinball loses its luster after 2 laps and the music gets on my nerves. I got bored of going through the track so many times, but I was probably brought on by playing it so many times. Waluigi Pinball needs the kind of design that Daisy Cruiser had, but with more intent to break up the linearity. Moreover, maybe put the pinball machine in a casino so as to give more potential to make a level with more mechanics and shortcuts and blinding vibrance. So, I've been complaining about lack of shortcuts and stuff in tracks that complement the track itself. Coconut Mall does not have that problem. Not only is the theme of the track very compelling, but the things inside the track are themed appropriately, and the track has multiple shortcuts available for you to use, and they're pretty well hidden, especially this one near your hand. The music also gives off the shopping spree vibe, but with the cash register noises in the actual track, to the fact that it actually sounds like something you'd hear inside of an actual shopping mall. With all of this combined, Coconut Mall cements itself as the best course in the Banana Cup. In terms of theming, Calamari Desert is fundamentally flawed. It doesn't have many opportunities for the creation of a vivid track, but the few it has aren't utilized. This creates a bland map that mostly sees you drifting through red sand. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not much fun. So let's fix the bland theming. First, maybe have oases and caravans with camels being ridden by shy guys or something. Maybe add a little more harsh cliffs and rock formations to add a little detail to the sparse desert, some sand dunes, etc. Anyhow, the track design is fine-tuned for drifting machines. The rest of the level is so conventional it hardly needs description. Again, DK Pass has the exact same issue as Calamari Desert. As a Canadian myself, this doesn't capture the beauty of a winter wonderland, where the igloos and the children playing in a forest covered in flurries. Where is any of it? At least it depicts some harsh cliffs amidst the beauty of winter. The track design is pretty good. It's like ascending upwards, drifting with caution along the harsh winter atmosphere. Also, what does this have to do with Donkey Kong? Are we expecting DK to be wearing a jacket or what? Daisy Cruiser is an okay track. The theme of it is something great, driving around on a giant cruise ship. The music ties in pretty well, and the shortcut down here is actually not well hidden at all. You see it as soon as you come into that turn, and it feels less like a shortcut and more like a main way that we saw earlier. Like this is the way you're supposed to go, not this other way. The diverging track at the beginning makes you choose, but it has no real impact on how you get through to the pool. Maybe if there were different obstacles and ways to gain speed on each end, it would make the diverging pathways more meaningful and less like an alternative method of progression. Daisy Cruiser is okay at what it tries out to do, and nothing more. This is the final race of the Leaf Cup. It began with 2 lackluster tracks, one good one, and finally an amazing one. Maple Treeway is phenomenal. The moment you begin, the forest is oozing with biodiversity and color. The music ties in to create a massive blackened atmosphere. Barrels in the ocean, what the hell? The creativity of focusing on creating a vibrant forest rather than pushing it all aside as a small section of the track helps Maple Treeway release all of its imagination like a rotting tree. The air segment is super smart too, and sees you atop a tree, flanking caterpillars and tightly hugging corners with your drifts. Upon exiting the tree top, the level takes a slight break from its beauty before you go on to the next lap. Overall, that stellar track design helps maintain the tightly knit atmosphere, and I have nothing bad to say about Maple Treeway. Now, onto the Lightning Cup. Koopa Cape is thematically brilliant, but it doesn't live up to its potential. Imagine if there weren't just a few cheap sprinkled in the water section that feel out of place. Imagine if this was more close to the Pacific, with an almost transparent ocean with an underbelly of colorful coral reefs being fed into the prior rapids. Still, it adds slight gimmicks with decent course design. To fix it, add the more vibrant Pacific theming aforementioned. Maybe a few more gimmicks should be in it, perhaps like a slight water direction pushing you forward or something, geysers that don't punish you for landing upon them, but instead catapult you to speeds unimaginable in unimaginable time frames. Essentially, more places to gain momentum and seal the world with a Koopa Key, and it would be an excellent track. Dino Dino Jungle is great. It captures that prehistoric vibe almost perfectly. With many of the set pieces being things that you would envision when you think of the times of a dinosaur, in addition to having those dinosaurs on the track. The shortcut here is super hard to get to, requiring you to be ready to release a drift or use a mushroom to get over the muddy puddle so that the shortcut is usable. Adding on another shortcut, possibly nearby the latter half of the track, could probably make it more appealing to those who want to get ahead of the competition as soon as possible. Dino Dino Jungle perfectly encapsulates a prehistoric theme, has amazing music for what it sets out to do, and provides one of the hardest shortcuts to get to in the entirety of a Lightning Cup. Imagine this. You're an agent infiltrating Bowser's airship and face wacky shenanigans along the way. That is a simple way to describe this incredible track, so let me continue. From the very start, you have to be rapid and agile, dodging bullet bills, proceeding to then dodge gophers peeking out of storm drain systems before your drifting machine enters a wooden segment which, though weaving short, has you dodging laser beams like an absolute legend. You reach the castle where you tightly hug corners, then make an unexpected turn before finishing the lap. This has a better atmosphere than Music Park in the sense that the music is very ambiguous with lots of source material, whereas the airship theme is more specific, so it does make a mountain out of a molehill of content in a more literal sense of the phrase. I must say, doing that 3 times over to finish the race never got old. Rainbow Road's SNES version excels at one thing: looking nice among the bleak, dark, seeming space. Other than that, this track has not aged well, not in the slightest. It feels punishing to get speed here, because if you turn at the wrong time, yes, you'll be falling to your doom, bye! It's so repetitive to play for all those reasons. Adding a barrier wouldn't help either, because then it would make the challenge null and void. This could probably be fixed by maybe making the course track a little bit, maybe by 2 blocks wider. Even with all of that said, that probably still wouldn't fix Rainbow Road SNES, which suffers from being a product of its time. All of the tracks in this segment try their best to stick with their theme and bring a fun time to whoever's playing them. Though some of them do it better than others, they all make an attempt, and that is admirable. Moving on from the normal racing mode, we have Battle Mode, a set of multiplayer battles against a bunch of CPUs or other humans. The first set that we're going to talk about is Coin Runners. I'm not a fan. Coin Runners is just you running around grabbing coins and using power-ups to get more coins from other people. It feels like Balloon Battle, but it also feels like a step down from Balloon Battle due to how boring it is just to grab the coins sprinkled around the course. One of my main problems is that the coins feel meaningless. In Balloon Battle, if you lose a balloon, you lose them until you respawn. This gives it a layer of trying to keep your balloons safe while also trying to get everyone else's balloons. It's a classic execution of risk and reward. In Coin Runners, however, you can just pick your coins back up again once you've been hit, making them feel less like coins and more like chocolate coins. That risk and reward idea that Balloon Battle had is just gone in Coin Runners, making it feel like a mode that Nintendo just threw without much thought. Balloon Battle is almost perfect. The power-ups available feel perfectly tailored to the mode, as if they make the power-ups in conjunction with the mode. Plus, there's a risk and reward idea in Balloon Battle, in which you try to keep your balloons safe while also trying to get everyone else's. It's smart. Many of the maps are quite small as to make sure that you and your opponents fight. I hope this was intentional, because if it was, Nintendo is very intelligent when it comes to making fun modes for a wacky racing game. I really like Balloon Battle. It's perfectly executed, and for good reason. It's been done for the past few Mario Karts. But here, it feels like it's at its best. Well, obviously, other than our king Mario Kart DS's battle mode. Mario Kart 7's battle mode is a mixed bag, what with the awful coin runners and the pristine Balloon Battle. But, with all of that said, this game's battle mode is just okay. No need to play it unless you want to just play Balloon Battle. Now, what if you want to play Mario Kart 7 with friends and family nearby? Well, the solution lies within local multiplayer, in which you can partake in every activity from the normal game, but with more real human beings. There's two ways you can access this. One, you can have the game either digitally or physically, and you can just go into local multiplayer and join a room. Or, you can connect through download play, Nintendo's easier way of playing local multiplayer games on the Nintendo 3DS. The caveat of using download play is that you'll be stuck as Shy Guy, and he isn't the best in terms of stats. Local multiplayer is obviously really smooth, and if you're stuck in a car on a road trip, break out that 3DS and go for a Grand Prix, or go for a round of Balloon Battle, or go for a versus race. Playing Mario Kart with friends is fun, but what if your friends are from another place, or they moved away? That's easy to fix with online multiplayer, powered by Nintendo Network, the free service provided with every Nintendo account for the Wii U and 3DS. And even though it's free, this is a pretty smooth connection. It barely lags, and even when it does, it lasts like 0.09 seconds. It's not a problem. You can create your own communities with certain restrictions and a leaderboard for who gets the most points in the Grand Prix. It allows a lot more connections with people, and it gives you ambition to be the very best like no one ever was. The multiplayer in Mario Kart 7 is perfectly executed. It balances exquisite communities with alluring local multiplayer options. If anything, they work perfectly in conjunction with each other, serving as a backup for the other. I enjoy playing on them both, and they work amazingly well. Your Honor, as you can obviously see, Mario Kart 7 is an exquisite game.
How so?
Well, let's break it down. The track designs, while they stumble a little bit in the beginning, have some amazing ideas in track layouts. The mechanics of the game challenge those who want to master every single crevice. The gameplay is perfect for new players and old players, the battle mode is somewhat okay, and the multiplayer, both online and local, is near perfection.
Alright, with this in mind, I declare Mario Kart 7 to be 8.9 out of 10.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I need to give some thanks to some people. First, big thanks to my brother for helping write the script. Thank you to the digital janitor from r/YouTubers on Reddit for metaphorically cleaning up my script and making it much better. Thank you to Embrace Opera Caleb for voicing the judge, and massive thanks to both r/YouTubers, the subreddit, and the r/YouTubers Discord server for giving me feedback on the script and helping me get to 50 subs. You all are epic.